Hello, my name is Kevin and welcome to the Love Decanters channel. So, my friend Matt asked me, he said, could you do a video about your favourite pieces? Yeah, so I thought about it and I came back to him and I said, I'll do a top 10. So this evening I've been trying to do a top 10 and I suffered, I think the word is paralysis by analysis. Yeah, I was in deep trouble because they are all my precious. Yeah, so some are more precious than others, but quite a lot of them are precious. So yeah, what do I do? So I've decided I'm going to do 3 top 10s. Okay, yeah. So I'm going to do an 18th century top 10, a 19th century top 10, and a 20th century top 10, because otherwise my heart would just break too much. So, and also, in order not to bore you to death, I'm going to split them up. So I'll do a part 1 and part 2 of each one. So it is going to be 6 videos. I'm not sure if I'm going to do them all in one go. I might, but I'm at least going to do the 18th century before I work on anything else. What else? So, I think, with that said, let's get on with the 18th century. The crusty old git glass. So, this is the first piece I'm going to show you from the 18th century. I'm not doing these in order of favoritism, but this actually might be my favorite decanter. Yeah, I don't know, I'm not certain. But anyway, this one is made by B. Edwards of Belfast. They date this style between 1783 and 1800. And yeah, so not only is it B. Edwards of Belfast, late 18th century, it has a little something about it that's better. Let me take the stopper out before I go and drop that. It says there, Martha Clement. So, I bought this over 20 years ago, about 20 years ago, I think. Yeah, about then or so. And at that point, this is the only Irish decanter that I knew of with someone's full name on it, and it had a lady's name. Okay. I'm going to focus there too close. Anyway, so you can see it goes around. Quite a lot of them have initials, but not full names. When Andy McConnell brought the Decanter Ancient to Modern out, I think it was about 4 or 5 years ago, it too has a decanter in it with an Irish decanter with a full name on it, and it's a lady's name as well, which is a little surprising. So the only 2 Irish decanters I'm aware of with someone's full name on are both ladies. Irish decanters, I should say, are ladies. So yeah, very interesting. And it's got some nice little features. The engraving is quite nice. Look at the wheat sheaf. I don't know what the symbolism of that is. Maybe it's be fertile, which is not very PC these days. And you've got stars and little sprigs. This is a very Belfasty type feature, I think. Stars and sprigs. What makes these a bit more interesting is that these would have been made as blanks in the factory, and there were little guys that were nearby with a little workshop, and you would take your blank to him and he would show you a bunch of patterns, and he would do what you wanted, and so you could change the pattern about and do stuff, put your full name on it, and I've got a couple of decanters, and I start to see the same hand again. I think this is the same guy that's done a couple of other decanters I have. Yeah, so very interesting the way he's done it with the. Can you see he's like made the name furry? I would describe it as, yeah, hairy maybe. And it's Clement, not Clements. So yeah, I've tried to use eBay to try and, Google to try and track this lady down, and I've had no success with that. So if anyone knows how to, I do know that, and I don't know if it's true of Belfast, but all the records for Ireland were burned. I think in 1917 Easter uprising or something. There was some altercation between the British and the Irish while we were in charge, and lots of bits of Dublin burned, including the records office. So I'm not sure what year that was. It was around that time, and yeah, so all of the old sort of like dates and births and marriages and all that kind of stuff went up in smoke. But anyway, all the centrally recorded ones, that is. So there's probably lots of stuff out in the parishes and, you know, parish churches and all that kind of stuff. Anyway, yeah, it's a lovely decanter. It's unique because of this. I've had it a long time, and yeah, it's just the history all embodied in it. You know, the fact that it's an Irish decanter, why that all occurred, because I've done a whole video on that and everything, and B. Edwards of Belfast and the unique engraving on it. Yeah, really nice. So the next decanter I'm showing you, it's not going to be old decanters, don't worry, is my oldest decanter. And I've had this a long time as well. I'm not sure exactly how long, but very long time. And this was an eBay purchase. It cost me, it's cracked, it's got quite a big crack on it. It cost me, I bought it as an old crack bottle, 99p plus postage. This stopper wasn't with it. I've put this in. This is a kind of a period stopper. I think it would have had a more simple stopper than this, but it's from the same era. Basically just stop dust from falling into it, because I didn't want to clean it inside because it's bad enough already. The crack is terrible. Look at that. Can you see it here? Yeah, so 90% of its value is gone in that crack. Okay, and I daren't. It would be nice to have it cleaned, but it's a risk. You know, it would be lovely cleaned, but it's a risk that it would just completely go. It's got the pontle is just scuffed out. Where the stopper goes is scuffed as well, scuffed in, I would say. And then it's got this really nice sort of like unpolished cutting on it. That's rather splendid. A little bit of cutting up here as well on the neck. Yeah, it's, you can see there's like bits of crap from the when they put it down to make the bottom flat. Bits of crap from the factory in it. It's, you know, bits of dirt that were hanging around that got into it. Not 100% certain it's English, but literally no pouring lip at all, which tells you it's very early. And it has a little bit of working around the top here. You can just about see it, which is a bit pointless really, because you can barely see it because of the other stuff going on inside it. This bit here that's rough is where the stopper wasn't touching it, and this bit here is where it was, and that's actually completely worn out the rough part of the top. So it's, yeah, it did actually have a stopper for a very long time, but at some point that stopped. You can see actually the unevenness of the top. That doesn't worry me at all, because, you know, it's 270 years old, this thing. Yeah, if you look at it close enough, there's lots of bits in it. It probably should have completely broken apart at some point with this huge crack and everything. Things have happened to this over the years, little bubbles and stuff. But anyway, I like it. The reason I like it is because when this was being cut, okay, so if this is about 1750, and I've read that cutting came to England in 1735 from Bohemia. So this cutting here was either done by someone from Bohemia or someone that was trained by someone from Bohemia. So this is like early cutting, when it was a brand new, fantastical thing. So yeah, I love those things where it's an innovation. Believe it or not, this decanter has a brand new innovation called cutting. So this is the next piece I'm showing you. This is number 3. I'm only going to do 5 now. Okay, so this is number 3. Yeah. So this is a cruet. Yeah, it's only this big, and it's the body is probably made by Whitefriars Glassworks on Fleet Street, which is where it was originally, in about 1760, 1770. It may have come from somewhere else, but the gilding is by a chap called James Giles. He was probably the best gilder. In fact, I think he probably was. He was the best gilder in England at that time. If you were anybody, you were Lord so and so, whoever, and you wanted something gilding, either porcelain or glass, he was your man. He gilded for Worcester on porcelain, and he was gilding on glass as well. And this is what his work is like. See it close up. See the little fine sgraffito work in each piece there. He's got scratched little lines into it. Can you see? All the pieces are unique, but what you see is, you will see this on a decanter as a frieze, and then you'll see this on something else, and then I've seen this sprig on something else. I've seen these patterns on other things that he does. This little technique here, the way the foot is, but never all as one piece. So he's got lots of motifs that he uses, and he mix and matches them, and the little bits of sgraffito. So in a couple of my books there's quite a few of these pictures of his work, so you get to know what the little motifs are, like this and these and the little things like this, and when you see his work you know it. So yeah, this came off eBay anonymously to me, and yeah, I was really pleased to have won this. And you can see blue glass, dark blue glass. There's a bubble in the glass there that's popped to the surface, so it's got a little manufacturing fault. And there's no stopper. Quite a lot of them don't have stoppers. The nearest one to me that I know of is in, I live in Northampton, is in Bedford Museum, which is about 25 miles away. And yeah, theirs doesn't have a stopper either. And theirs is very different. It's white and it's more geometric. It's got a base a bit like this though, but it has this overall shape though. And this is another shape that you see a lot of his cruets in. So yeah, I was very pleased to have that. So this is 1760, 1770, something like that. James Giles eventually died in poverty because his customers were so gentrified they couldn't be bothered to pay him. Yeah, things don't change too much. Anyway, so yeah, this is one of my favourite pieces. Might even be my favourite piece. Not sure. It's just such a quality thing for something that's so old. So this is a double wall salt. It was made circa 1720 to 40. I bought it at an antique centre in Hungerford for £6. Yeah, it was on a table of glass, and I thought that thing looks interesting. Picked it up, turned it over, and saw this number on it. That's painted on. That's from someone's collection. That's been properly curated. So you're going, yeah, that's a proper piece. Also, the other thing that's interesting me, see that little blibby in the bottom and the middle, right in the very middle. On my earliest glasses that I have, they quite often have a little blob like that right in the very bottom of the glass. I don't know what part of the process of making them causes that to happen, but you see that kind of more mid-18th century. So although I didn't know what I was getting into, I knew I was getting into something interesting, because one, it's part of a curated collection. Two, it's got that little blob in the model bottom which says very early to me. And yeah, it was a weird thing. And the glass, the feel of the glass is very old. I can't, it's very difficult to describe, but the quality of the glass itself says, I am very old. And I can't really tell you any more than that on that. But what makes me excited about this piece, and what makes it a favourite, even though it's not, it is worth more than £6, but it's not worth millions. It's not fancy doodah or anything like that. It's as plain as you can get. But trapped in here, because it's a double wall, this is a bubble of air inside here. In there is the breath of a glass blower from the early 18th century. Yeah. Doesn't really get much better than that, does it, really? So, yeah, that's quite an interesting thought. That there's someone's breath in it. It's sterilised because this was obviously molten when it was done. But, yeah, it does have someone's breath trapped inside it. Yeah, and even if it wasn't sterilised, there would be, you know, we're talking 300 years now that air's been trapped in there. So, yeah, just a really interesting thing just from that point of view. Just, yeah, it's an interesting, you know, it's an open salt. You do your pinch of salt, put it on your food, whatever. Use a little tiny spoon, put it on your food. So, but the fact that there's someone's breath in it from, and as I said, it's a humble thing. I like humble things. When I do the 19th century, yeah, one of my favourite pieces is, yeah, a real piece of crap, but I love it. But anyway, yeah, I really do like that, just because I love it, because yeah, it's old, blah 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 blah, but someone's breath is in there for 300 years. So this is the fifth item I'm looking at, and it's the final one of these, of this episode that I'm doing for this. And yeah, so this is what's known as a Lynn decanter. You can see it's got almost no pouring lip, which means it's early. So this will be 1760s, maybe 70s, something like that. But yeah, the smaller the pouring lip. If it's got none at all, you're really pushing back to the mid-century. And as it gets on, you can see it's got a small amount of pouring lip there. This is a stopper I put in. It might have had one a bit like this originally, but I put it in because I don't want dust falling in it. But anyway, let me explain what makes it a Lynn decanter. I'll show you. Can you see? This is what Lynn decanters are like, with this vertical optical banding, or horizontal, I should say, optical banding. And you get it on glasses and jugs and rinsers and finger bowls and all sorts of other bits and pieces have that. Tumblers have this effect. They're all about half an inch apart. Another feature of early decanters. This one has got a big whack in the base, so I got it quite cheaply. Can you see there's a big crack there? You're starting to realise that I don't care when it's this old. It's such a fantastic rare thing. This is a museum piece. But look at the base of this. Look at the size of that kick. You know, that's my thumb right inside. Yeah. Just to stop that from scratching the table. Seems a bit excessive, but that's what they did. That's why your wine bottles have a kick in the base. This is the origin of it. And then the engraving on it is quite, how can I say? You might say naive. Wonky is another way of saying it, because the P is quite a bit bigger and further away than R and T. So I think they started off a bit ambitious and got less ambitious as you got across the bottle. Realised, oh, I've screwed up. But I've started carving this bottle now, and it is going to be, because otherwise, if he carried on at this for these last two characters, the T would be crashing into the end there, and obviously he's left quite a lot of space there at the beginning. So he's really quite badly cocked that up. This is a kind of not a standard motif, because these are not common. Things with this kind of cartouche, it's called, with a name in, are not common. I have a couple of other things like that, but yeah, it's not common, and it's got port, and it's got some grapes and leaves, and yeah. But it's a Lynn decanter. It's, when I started collecting, this is one of the things that old crusty old guys would try to buy, and was very expensive, and it came up on eBay, had a big whack in it, and I think I paid about £30 or £40 for it, something like that, because it has this big whack in it. Without the big whack, even though it's just like a little half-sized decanter, you're probably talking, you know, £300 or £400 or something, a lot. But I wanted it. I wanted one of these, and it didn't seem I was going to ever get the chance to steal one off eBay from someone I didn't know. So this one is mine. I think it's really nice because it's got the, yeah, the sparkly, and it's now I've heard it disputed now. So they're called Lynn decanters because they're supposed to be made in King's Lynn. Now I've seen in some of the books that actually that might not be true, or it might be. We don't know, but theoretically this is made at a factory, a glass factory in King's Lynn, which is one of those few. In English glass, it's very difficult to pin down glasses to specific locations and makers, etc. I've got two 18th century pieces. I've got this one, and I've got that James Giles piece where you can go, here is some history for it. I've got a bunch of Irish ones which I can go, here is some history for it, and I've got some an early 19th century piece which will appear in the next top 10. We can get history, but this is one of the pieces that you can get history from. You can go, yeah, it's supposed to be made in King's Lynn, although that's now disputed, but it used to be. You could say, yeah, it's English and it's King's Lynn. So anyway, I think that's all the glass I'm going to show you for this, because I don't want to bore you to death with a massive video, and maybe I'll do, don't think I'm doing it tomorrow night, no, so I think I might do part 2 tomorrow. So there you go. Now you know how obsessional I am. You're thinking, doesn't he have those things out? Well, the first decanter I showed you is this one here, this one, yeah, and the others are all back here. There's one there, and I have a cabinet just out there with some of the other bits in. So yeah, they're not far away, you know. I've got to keep them near because they're special. Yeah. So I didn't use any references. I just blurbed, showed you stuff, and tried to show you detail of some old glass of how it is, so that you might recognize if you see something really old, you see something with a big kick in the bottom, or a glass with a little blibby in the bottom, whatever, you might go, "Oh, Kevin says something about that, and it's really old." But anyway, yeah, so those are my favorite oldies but goodies. Well, 5 of my favorite oldies but goodies, and I'll do them another 5, and then we'll move on to the less old. So thank you for watching. Please remember to like and subscribe, because it does help my channel, and I will be doing, obviously I've got at least 5 more in this series to do, so yeah, I will keep going, and thank you for watching, and have a good night. Good night.